development strategist at WCI. And here we go, folks. I believe that sooner rather than later, most likely this week, we will see some sort of military action out of the United States and some potential NATO allies, including the UK, against Syria for alleged chemical weapons use against rebels and against civilians. Really, what a tangled web we weave. 2 years after this atrocity has or started, we're finally waking up to the reality of what's going on over there, with over 100,000 innocent men, women, children killed, and the feckless U.S. foreign policy. So now we wake up. It's a little late, in my opinion, folks. Chemical weapons, I think, have been used by both sides. I believe that Assad used them, but I also believe that the rebels have used them, and to make it look like Assad has used them, which is just horrible news for us here in the United States, because if rebels have them, that means Al-Qaeda has them, coming potentially to a city near you. So off we go again into the Middle East, and it really, I love the liberal media and listening to, especially on NBC, Chuck Todd or whatever his name is. The United States is so war weary from Afghanistan and Iraq, and it's 60% of Americans, or whatever the latest poll was, don't want any action in Syria. Here's the problem, folks: is after an attack like this, after a potential attack, or after a successful attack out of terrorists with chemical weapons, if that, God forbid, ever happens, we're all going to be screaming about what happened, how do we not connect the dots? And of course, it'll come back to the fact that these chemical weapons came from either Assad's regime or the rebels, and 2 years ago we could have prevented this. I understand, quote, being war weary, but and to all you Bush haters out there, obviously where Assad got his chemical weapons, right? Another thing that just shake my head at when I'm watching the coverage on everything that's going on in Syria. We're such a, quote, nice nation that before we attacked Iraq and Saddam Hussein, we gave him, what, 72-hour notice, 48-hour notice, 24-hour notice, okay, and now we're going to come and get you. It's like counting to 10 playing hide and seek. When we did that, about 20 tractor trailers left, quote, suspected chemical weapons facilities in Iraq and went to where? Syria. So for all you folks out there, apology accepted on behalf of George Bush. So war-weary folks, welcome to the global war on terrorism, which, of course, our president and this administration, they retired that term about 2 years ago, right? There is no global war on terror. It's called overseas contingency operations, which I'm sure is of little comfort to a widow or a mother or father who get a folded flag and say your son or daughter died in an overseas contingency operation. So really, really not good stuff going on overseas, folks. We're going to see if something happens. We're already seeing overnight in the futures, gold, oil, everything's starting to go through the roof here, getting ready for a potential military strike in Syria. So batten down the hatches, and that's a good thing that we do here at Wealth Creation with options, and over at Top Gun Options, all of our portfolios have these type of hedges in there: long gold, oil, and long volatility, especially when a month ago the VIX is around 12, we got long volatility. So while we might take a couple missiles in the side of a portfolio, it's not going to sink because I trade strategically. I look at all these. I knew this stuff was coming, so we batten down the hatches and set our sails appropriately for the weather that we're sailing in. Very interesting last week that we got all these central bankers together in Jackson Hole talking about when they're going to be easing, and I thought it was really interesting how all the emerging markets, especially Brazil, who a couple years ago, Guido Mantega suggested a couple years ago, when the Fed started really doing what they were doing, that they were launching a currency war, trying to devalue to gain a trade advantage against all these emerging market economies. Well, now all these folks, the same folks, are turning around saying, whoa, don't taper, don't do anything, don't you're going to kill us if you guys start doing this. So, and the Fed officials like, well, we're worried about the United States. We're not too worried about your economy. So, not only do we have military action going on this week, we're gonna and up into the Fed meeting, we're gonna see quote currency war action going on. Brazil just launched a massive stimulus currency intervention program with about 600 billion real to try and stabilize what's going on over there. So very interesting what's going on in the emerging markets. The same folks who yelled at us for doing what we were doing are now yelling at us for taking away what we're doing. So very interesting. On the flight schedule this week, nothing. Well, we got durable goods, core durable goods. Whenever you see the word core, it usually means X something. Durable goods, core durable goods is X transportation items, right? Tuesday, we're going to see S&P Schiller 20 Home City Composite Index, the Consumer Board or Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Number, the Richmond Fed. Wednesday, we're going to get some pending home sales. Thursday, obviously, weekly unemployment claims, but preliminary GDP. This one will be interesting. GDP comes out in three types, folks. It comes out in advanced, preliminary, and final. And advanced has the earliest, it is obviously the earliest release and tends to have the most impact. But with the train wreck that has been our GDP, I'm sure it'll potentially move markets. We get an FOMC member speaking, and then Friday, a little more chock full of economic data. Core PCE, it's kind of a personal consumption index, inflation indicator, right? So core PCE, personal spending, and personal income. We'll also get Midwest manufacturing numbers out of the Chicago PMI, and then University of Michigan consumer sentiment revised numbers. And obviously we saw last week what the biggest miss in like the history of them keeping track of that. So should be an interesting week as far as economic data. But get ready, guys. We're going to see, thank goodness, so we have these positions in our model portfolios. GLD is going to pop. We're going to see a VIX pop. We're going to see an oil pop, and we could potentially see the market pull back. So, for example, in our primary trade alert model portfolio over at Top Gun Options, we have a bullish double vertical on SDS. That's Sierra Delta Sierra, the ProShares Ultra Short. So, as we have a lot of long positions in our portfolio, well, guess what? We have a bilge pump in here as well that's going to click on in case we take a torpedo in the side of our portfolio, which it's looking like we might, not only with the Fed, but with a potential lob and a couple missiles into Syria. And if we do that, Godspeed to all the men and women in U.S. Armed Forces. May he keep them safe on the tip of the spear. And remember, folks, people who serve in the military are the last people who desire a conflict. It couldn't be further from the truth. Like General Douglas MacArthur said, it is we who were in uniform see the horrors of war and know exactly what it's all about. So we do not execute these things lightly, but when we do, we will do it with enough ferocity, force to win. And to protect what is necessary for the United States. So hopefully that can be avoided, but it doesn't look like it. I'd much prefer to fight these people over there than in the streets and subways of New York City. All right, guys, have a good week, and I'll see you for Friday's market wrap-up. Make sure in between you come over to Top Gun Options Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for my market sit rep, that situation report, daily sit rep on what's going on in the markets and potential trades. We'll see you. Have a great week.